aspect of our lives. This is why maintaining a properly functioning nervous system is essential to a normal, healthy life. Because of its focus on the nervous system, chiropractic care can be a very important part of a wellness lifestyle. By restoring the integrity of the spine and nervous system with a safe and natural method of care, your doctor of chiropractic can help you live a more healthy, productive, and happy life. For the health of it, visit us at 1302 North Shepherd in the Heights, or visit our website, HoustonChiroClinic.com, or call us at 713-868-6166. 713-868-6166.
1540 AM and 101.7 FM Houston, Pasadena, Clear Lake, Galveston.
This is KGBC, Galveston, Houston, 1540 AM and K269GS, Pasadena, 101.7 FM.
1540 AM and 101.7 FM. Edge Radio. Are you ready to be pushed over the edge? Edge Radio. Coming soon to 1540 AM and 101.7 FM Houston, Pasadena, Clear Lake, Galveston.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Miss Worldwide, let's celebrate. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Edge Radio with How You Living.
How you living?
How you living? So I'm Dr. Kiva and Robin and Oscar. How are you guys doing this morning?
Hey, we're doing good.
I'm living fantastic. I've been doing good.
Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday.
I like Mondays.
I like Mondays.
Yeah. Well, but I'm going to tell you something. Mondays is not a good day normally.
Wow.
There is the highest level of suicide on Mondays.
It's crazy.
The most car accidents on Mondays.
Car accidents? Oh, because people don't want to go to work.
People are stressed out. They have heart attacks, more heart attacks on Mondays than any other day. I'm glad you all like Mondays.
I like
We're going to infuse some energy into Monday.
Okay. Like that old painting. Have you ever seen that painting, Blue Monday?
Oh, no.
You never seen it? It's an African-American artist. I think Annie Lee is her art. That's her name.
That.
And she doesn't have a face in all her artwork.
Okay.
And in one of her paintings, it's called Blue Monday.
So no face.
And that's all her artwork. It's no face.
Okay.
And it's Annie Lee.
Did she say why she has no face?
I don't know because I don't even know if she's alive. It's an old school artist.
That's very good to know.
Yeah, Blue Monday.
Wow.
Well, I had a weird weekend. Okay. So I caught some criminals in the act. I even got them on film.
Wow.
I knew, we had some thievery going on in my community. And so I knew something was going on. I have this wonderful orange tree in my backyard. And I can't wait. And my oranges are good. They're sweet, they're juicy.
You had to bring some.
That was my plan. So I woke up a couple of times last week and there were big bite holes. I'm like, who's eating my oranges? Because we couldn't get them out the tree. They were really stuck up there. So I'm like, okay, there must be a raccoon or something.
Right.
Saturday morning, I woke up, there were oranges everywhere, and there's two freaking squirrels eating. I didn't even know squirrels ate oranges. I got them on film. I said, caught in the act. I had to post it because I couldn't believe it.
They needed their vitamin C.
They did, but check it. They did their vitamin C.
They had little masks on. They were practicing social distance.
Let me tell you something. These fools ate so much. I swear, I got to show you the pictures when I get the chance. He's laying on the dagger. You know how we are after Thanksgiving dinner? He was laying on the damn wall. Excuse me. He's laying on the wall like this. He couldn't even move his arms.
He probably put a shot of vodka in his orange juice.
It was a tryptophan.
And the other one must have been burning his face because he's rubbing his face on the bark of the tree trying to get all that juice off. It was funny. So I had to get it on film.
Wow.
I don't put it on YouTube.
Well, that's hysterical. I didn't know squirrels ate oranges. But dogs do not eat oranges.
Really?
They have an aversion to citrus citrus.
But they eat everything else. They lick themselves. I mean, look, they got the nerve to be
but they do not like citrus. So if you try to give your dog oranges, see how he acts. My kid's dog, you know, he was so greedy to get something. Right. I said, "Oh, buddy, you want something? There you go." He smelled it. He looked at me like, "What the hell?"
What's up with that?
He ate that thing. He forced himself to eat it.
Had you ever heard that if you're trying to quit smoking, you would chew on vitamin C, and it makes the cigarettes really nasty to smoke?
Wow.
Don't know if it's true because I've never tested it.
You mean chew on what, like
vitamin C? No,
the
actual vitamin C.
Really?
If you chew on it, supposedly.
Okay.
I don't know. Someone has to try it and then let me know.
Well,
I don't know no more smokers.
Well, yeah, you have to
smokers are hard to find these days.
That's right. They're an endangered species because they're either dead or they've been pressured.
Are we talking medicinal?
Right. Now that's a different story. That's now they're becoming more prevalent and they're chill. You know, they don't mind Mondays that much. That might be the key.
Blue Monday.
That might be the key.
That might be the key.
Yeah.
It's like, Mondays should be like 420 Mondays.
Right.
Well, I can say this weekend I finally got to hang out with my mother.
Nice.
So usually I do drive-bys.
Yeah.
She still won't let me in the house.
Me neither.
Wow.
And I still have to sit in the patio, distance away from her. Mm-hmm. But, at least I got to hang out with her.
That's so nice.
But I tell you what's interesting. I have a lot of people in my family who are in education.
Okay.
And so I'm concerned about my little cousin because he is working with one organization that he can't go to because it's with kids because of COVID.
Right.
And then during a year he works in the school.
Okay.
And so my concern is that with the unemployment ending, I think with them giving extra money in July.
Okay.
What's going to happen to him?
Oh my God.
When it comes to COVID, unemployment, and not making money.
I don't understand what's going on. I don't know how. And I thought I heard they're not going to do that next unemployment.
Yeah, I think they're going to end July 25th, I think, or something like that.
That's right. July, everybody gets cut off, so to speak.
So we're going to have a lot of people with some financial concerns.
Yeah, which is so perfect that our guest today is going to be the bomb, just who we need right now. With all that's going on, we just need some guidance.
I need it for retirement.
Retirement,
I'm like, oh Lord, what I'm going to do?
You got a long way to go, but this is the time to start now.
And because it's so crazy because, we don't even know if we're going to have Social Security with what's going on. And you would hope to fall back on that.
Right. Especially since you've been paying for it all your life.
Hello.
And that's what's real irritating. How dare they try to take, that's like someone going in your bank account and taking your money out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's like, I got a savings account and Social Security, now it's gone. What?
Yeah, but we're going to have the best military in the world.
Space Force.
Space Force.
Hey, look, when they come for us, we're going to be ready, right?
Oh, yeah, we're going to be. Speaking of which, I'm glad you said that. So Jeff I've been begging him to take me to the shooting range. I think that revolution's coming.
Okay.
Anyway, so he went to his friends yesterday. He said he couldn't believe it. It was all brothers and sisters up in there. But there was a church group up in there.
And they were the church group.
I said, were they dressed in their Sunday best?
Hey, look. Wow.
It's a new world. We are living in a new world.
This is the Wild Wild West.
I'm telling you. That was very interesting.
I know, because, next week we're going to have aliens and zombies.
Oh, my God. They're coming.
It's all the apocalypse.
I think they're here already, really. I think one of my neighbors is an alien, actually.
Well, they probably planted those squirrels.
Something. She's jealous because last year she kept asking for some. So she had infiltrated with the squirrel.
I love it. I love it. Wow. So this is awesome. But one of the things that I think is perhaps the most important thing that we can do, especially as people of color right now, is recognize the importance of our economic strength.
Yes.
Because if I look at every historical figure that has really impacted Black change, and Martin Luther King was amongst the leaders in that conversation, he preached economic reform.
Sure did.
And so our guest that's coming up after this break is someone that is uniquely qualified to discuss the nuances of what we need to do both financially and to some extent our attitude towards money. That's a big conversation.
It all starts mental, right?
It sure does.
It does. It does. So we're going to take a break. You're listening to How You Livin' here on Edge Radio Network, 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. And when we come back, I am totally stoked to invite with you all Dr. Cheryl Creuzot.
Yeah, she's one of my personal heroes.
Ooh. I'm already excited.
Yeah, she's a hero.
She's your hero. Dr. Creuzot, when we see you, we need you to walk across a bed of water for us.
She can do that. She can do that.
Float.
Well, since we're having fun, she might want to turn some water into wine.
Especially for Monday.
That's right. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, Dr. Cheryl Creuzot.
Yeah, all right.
This is Dr. Arango with Arango Chiropractic Clinic to inform you that we specialize in the handling of your automobile injury case. Arango Chiropractic Clinic makes it simple for you to access the care that you need. Our doctors and staff have years of experience in the handling of auto accident claims. In addition to providing the health care you need, we provide our patients with information such as how personal injury cases are handled, whether you may need an attorney to represent you, what you can expect from the insurance adjusters. If you do not have an attorney, we will gladly make a referral to one. Often, injuries do not show up until days or weeks after an accident. A thorough chiropractic evaluation is essential to your health, especially after an injury. For more information and for the quality of care you need and deserve, call us at 713-868-6166. Arango Chiropractic Clinic, 713-868-6166.
Contact us at 713-868-6166, or for more information, visit our website at HoustonChiroClinic.com, 713-868-6166.
Our business is helping your business from Galveston to Houston and beyond. 1540 KGBC.
Well, give us a call. 281-744-0446. 281-744-0446.
And we are back with How You Livin' on Edge Radio Network, 101.7 FM, 1540 AM, and our esteemed guest, Ms. Cheryl Creuzot, is here today. And I am going to, first I want to welcome you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking time.
I love the Monday morning energy.
Ooh, yeah, we got to bring it in right. Now I just want to show people, those of you who are watching, this is Cheryl's bio, okay? 3 pages. But it's only an hour-long show.
That's right.
So I'm going to point out the key points, okay? Number one, Cheryl's my financial expert, okay? So thanks to you, I have a future, okay? So Cheryl is currently the president emeritus of Wealth Development Strategies, LLC, but she was the president and CEO up to maybe a year or two ago?
A year ago, yes.
Okay, but you got real busy. So Ms. Creuzot was recently, this is a big one, was recently appointed the mayor, by the mayor of Houston City Council and sworn in as a commissioner for the Port of Houston.
That's right.
That is huge.
Thank
you are the very first African-American period or African-American woman?
First African-American woman.
That is amazing. Congratulations. That is huge. I mean, isn't our port like the biggest in the world, one of the biggest in the world?
It is.
Wow.
It is.
So you're going to represent.
This is history.
This is history. And so you're representing us very well. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to try to get through some of these. Okay. You're vice chair of University of Houston Foundation. And that's your alma mater, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay, great. My son graduated from there, so I'm excited about that.
Right. Go Cougs. Huh?
Yeah, go Cougs. You also serve on the board of visitors of MD Anderson Cancer Center. as well as being the vice chair of the board of Frenchie's Companies. Your family owns Frenchie's,
That's
correct?
right. My husband's family, yes.
So, well, what's his is yours. And don't forget that.
Except I can't boil an egg, so.
Oh, really? Oh,
No.
that's real nice.
Didn't
Okay.
get the culinary skills.
So he's got the cooking skills.
Yes, he does.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll try to stop talking in between. You're the member of National Association of Corporate Directors, the Texas State Bar Association, and Financial Planning Association.
Right.
You were appointed by the DNC, which is the Democratic National Committee, to serve as the state co-chair of the Women's Leadership Forum. And this is one that I'm really impressed with. Your words are referenced often in print and online, right? So a lot of Ms. Crusoe's research, she's a resource for print and online media. You've been quoted in Money Magazine, Mutual Funds, Black Enterprise, and Essence Magazine. You previously hosted a local talk show, radio, KPRC's Organizing Your Life.
Yes.
That is awesome. And you're currently the host of a local FM show, 102.5, called Let's Talk Money. And then one of the last things I want to talk about is your amazing book, which I love, and it's called Real Lives, Real Money.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And it was featured in Essence Magazine in 2017.
Yes, yes.
And the awesome part about it is that it references real people. You
It
talk
does.
about real stories.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
so I'm
right,
hoping we
right.
get into that. So welcome.
We will. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad
I'm
to
done.
be here. Glad to be here.
Very
Yes.
My goodness.
So yeah, I was telling Oscar all about you, and he's like, "Oh no,
thank
that's a
you.
woman I need to talk to."
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. That was great.
Absolutely.
Thank
So,
you.
so Doc, in delving into this current situation, this is finance and money has become a big conversation, primarily for people of color.
Yeah.
And what is the dialogue happening at your level of the game when it comes to our people of color and what we need to do financially?
Yes. Well, I'm glad you said that, Oscar, because that's the reason that I got into this line of work 36 years ago. And to, in my own small way, to help our people become more financially independent.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I work with people from all walks of life at all income levels. All right. And so we start with the basics and making sure that someone has a solid foundation.
That's great.
All right. There's no one shoe fits all. One of the questions is, what do I need to do to become financially independent? There's no secret bullet, no magic bullet. All right. It involves work. And we were talking before the show, Dr. Kiva and I, that, it's analogous to any major change, whether it's starting a diet or something else. You've got to first get your mind right and decide that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's
okay?
right.
And the very first thing is to get organized. And let's look at the real. Where are we? You'd be surprised how many people don't know what they have coming in or what they have going out. All right. The idea is that we need to put together a budget, all right, and live within that budget, live beneath our means so that we have savings available, okay? And then go about first establishing that foundation.
That's good.
And that foundation is sort of our defense, making sure we have that adequate emergency fund.
Right.
There are 21 million people that are out of work now because of COVID.
Oof. So what
Very
would you?
sad situation.
It's
and so,
horrible.
I had a relative text me and say, I understand what that emergency fund is all about now.
Right.
Yeah, and so you've got to have that 6 to 9 months of living expenses for times like these or any other, unforeseen circumstances.
Right.
And then the other things are to make sure that we take care of the other risks that can happen to us. We can get sick.
Like
We can become
accidents.
disabled.
Right.
We can die too soon. We can live too long,
Right.
and we can have loss of our property. So that's where you get started.
So we need to have vehicles to protect loss of property, or if we get sick. What does that look like?
Those
What is that?
vehicles are the various kinds of insurance. So we transfer those risks. Most of us can't afford to self-insure if we become sick or become disabled
Right.
or die too soon before we complete our plans. So in addition to that emergency fund, having those various kinds of insurance to transfer that risk away.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in the context of savings and in the context of being able to get these things, people listening to you, some may say, I'm lucky to get through the end of the month. I got more month than I have money. Right? How do we offset that inequity?
You know what? I have clients that are single moms that might make $40,000 a year, and they do a better job in terms of moving towards reaching their financial independence goals than my clients that might make seven figures.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There's room in just about everyone's budget to cut back and to get down to just living on essentials and living beneath your means. All right.
It's just
you think about our parents and our grandparents.
They made it
who
work.
lived with a whole lot less
Yeah.
than what we live with,
And they had more kids than we're having these
had
days.
more mouths to
Yeah.
feed
Yeah.
and lived modestly,
Mhm.
and were able to accumulate and leave a nest egg, for a lot of us. So
Sure.
Because I think this is a good time to start that, especially with everyone's kind of at home.
Right.
And not spending on food or eating out as much. And then you can kind of see the difference, like, okay, I don't need to eat out every day.
No.
Right.
No.
So that could be one way that they can definitely cut back.
So this goes into a sociology piece, but man, my IQ went up as soon as you got on the panel. So wait, what? Okay, so this is more of a sociological sort of question,
sure.
right? But I read at some point that just after slavery ended, the slave owners came up with a bit of a brainstorm. They said, you know what? We can make our slaves, now that they're free, want to stay. And part of how we get them to want to stay is buy them some nice Sunday clothes, because we know how important their Sunday best is to them.
Right.
And presumably this ushered in this era of this ostentatious outward display of one's means of life as it pertains to the African American acculturation. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I look at the advertising directed at our population.
Yeah.
In terms of automobiles and eating out and clothing,
All things material.
and
all
these
things
material things, and those things are fine. We all enjoy nice things, but it's first things first.
Right.
First things first. The people that are out of work and don't have that emergency fund, wish they could do something with that Chanel purse if they.
Somebody was telling me they were like giving Nike a lot of praise because they're donating like $500 million. I said, hey, they owe us that. We made Nike, okay? So the African American community, we're the ones who made them so rich.
Right.
So they're not really doing us, they're just reciprocating.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. So don't give them too much praise.
Well,
Yeah.
it is a mental shift of not wanting to be too concerned about the Joneses looking she's looking good. She got that nice
Absolutely.
car.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, maybe I don't need this expensive car, get a older car just to be able to save money.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, you don't do it now so you can have later.
That's
Or
true.
a little bit of delayed gratification. How
Yeah,
about it?
we like
do
instant.
what you need to
Yeah.
you do 1st, and then get the things you want.
That's right.
I have my godson that has been staying with me for about 6 months, and so my reward for him was for his A's. All right,
Right.
for his report card. So I said, we'll get $100, which was quite a bit, but I wanted to really inspire him to get these A's because
How old is he?
He is 17.
Okay, that's fair.
And this is the semester that schools are going to look at.
Right.
So he gets his money and he goes online, and the first thing he wants to do is take his $900 that he got and buy 4 pairs of tennis shoes. I said, absolutely not.
Okay, we got to go back to the drawing board.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I showed him a video of Shaquille O'Neal, who talked about how early in his career, how he blew so much of his money.
Yeah.
And he sat down with a wiser older man who took a dollar bill, tore it in half, put this half over here. He said, how much is this? 50 cents. Then tore the other one in half. How much is over here? 75. He said, you save that and you invest that. And this 25 cents, you do whatever you want. You buy clothes,
That's really good.
shoes, homes, whatever. All right. So that was my lesson to my godson.
Did he listen?
He did.
Wonderful.
He was forced to
You
listen.
saved him.
Great lesson.
Yeah,
He
you
was
saved him
forced
from
to listen.
himself.
So do you think a part of what the pervasive issue is the inability to delay gratification?
I think it is because for so long we have done without as a people. All right? And we want to show that we have arrived, that we are successful. And I see that there's that desire. I serve on a number of boards with majority population, folks who are what I would call old money.
Right.
And you don't see the trappings. You don't see the cars.
They might
you don't
drive a
see
Honda.
the jewelry. Yeah.
Right, keep the same car forever.
But you know, Doc, you're spot on because again, a similar thing I read was that African American makes 100,000, Caucasian makes 100,000. The average Caucasian that makes 100,000 drives an old F-150 pickup truck. The average African American that makes 100,000 drives a Mercedes Benz.
Right, right.
So that's like the rich dad, poor dad philosophy, probably. How rich dad lives versus how poor dad lives.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
And also there's an income disparity because in most situations that African American is not going to make that same $100,000. We still have that income gap.
The interest rates are going to be higher for them and that sort of thing.
Well, there's an income gap. We don't get paid the same amount as our white counterparts.
But then,
especially
that's
women.
another.
But then, unfortunately, when we do, we run out and buy a Mercedes. my Mercedes is old, so I'm gonna and paid for.
Or another thing we do is have too many credit cards.
Oh yeah,
At the end
lots
of the month,
yeah.
you're paying maybe $1,500.
Oh, and the interest is ridiculous. And listen, I always say a credit card is a means for buying something unneeded at a price you can't afford.
That's
So do you think you should have any credit cards or?
I think people to provide that discipline need to use their debit card.
Okay.
You need one major credit card, you know,
Right.
for
major-
travel,
right.
for hotels that will only take a card, and for points.
Yeah. For points. And the key is to pay it off every month.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to survive that interest rate.
Right. If you have to use that debit card, you're going to think twice.
Yeah. Because when you look in that bank account, right.
Yeah.
That's
and if it's
true.
a major expense, I have a rule. Think about it. I'll have something put on hold, and I'll go back, and if I really need it, I'll pick it up the next day. But the vast majority of the time, I'll think, I really don't need that.
That gives you time. That's good.
I really don't need that.
You know, one of my favorite memes during quarantine was the fact that, you know, they had a note inside your refrigerator. When you open it up, it said, "Shut the refrigerator, fatso. You're not hungry. You're just bored." So this material stuff is a distraction for us, you think, Doc?
It is. It is.
And so then what's the antidote? What do you do to get around this? To start getting people
I think
in a different mindset?
I think it's the mindset is what you're saying. You know, you've got to be sick and tired, being sick and tired and living on the edge, and being in a situation where you're laid off, and you are, you know, a month away from disaster. I mean, total disaster because you don't have this emergency fund,
Right.
and you're going to have to go back and live at home with, you know, parents or what have you.
So how do you approach someone who does have a decent amount of money, but they're on a spending spree? How do you, like your clients, how do you like rein them in where it's effective? Do you have a different
We
tactic?
start with the budget. You can go to our website, which is wealthdevelopmentstrategies.com. You can go to the resource link and go on that tab and print you off a budget.
Really?
Let's start there.
That's
It's
good.
wealthdevelopmentstrategies.com.
Okay.
Go to the resource tab and scroll down and click on budget. Start there.
Okay.
All right.
That's good.
Go through your bank statements and your credit card statements if you're using those, and do the real, I call it.
Okay.
And I tell clients whether it's good, bad, or ugly, it doesn't matter. Let's start there. All right. And that is the most eye-opening exercise that most people can do.
Because you're like, oh my
And
God,
when
I
they
didn't
add it
realize I
up
was
and
spending.
get to that total.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to backtrack. All right. So if we calculate, you talked about retirement, and we sit down and we do your plan, and you say, well, Cheryl, I'd like to make sure that I'm financially independent when I'm 60, whatever your age is.
Yes.
And it's a lifestyle question. And I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to do this and that. we'll calculate what that's going to take for you to do and back into what you need to be saving a month. So it could be that once that budget is done and we compare that against your income, you may need to go back to the table and work on that budget and get to the point where we can create enough money to put together that emergency fund and then fund enough for your retirement.
Wow. So I'm absolutely loving this. This is great information. We are talking to Dr. Cheryl Creuzot, the author of Real Lives, Real Money. I absolutely am seeing how this all comes together. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to ask Dr. Creuzot to help us to unpack the way that we get to our financial independence. You're listening to How You Living, and in this case, How You Spending. And we'll be back in just a moment here on Edge Radio. Back in just a moment.
This is former Robert Reed.
This is Mel Jewell of Athletes United.
And we want to talk to you about our new program and podcast. We're talking about former athletes who are doing a lot of things in the community.
Various athletes in various sports. Swimming, track, soccer, football, baseball, you name it.
Former and current athletes here in the greater Houston area.
All promoting wellness, health. All promoting that which makes us all better.
Of Edge Radio, truth still matters.
It's a spectacular show, cause my heart wants diesel. So whatever you saying, it don't entertain my ego. I do this every day. Hocus pocus is my stilo. I got the magic in me. I got the magic, baby. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold. Yes, it turns to gold. Everybody knows I got the magic in me. I got the magic, baby. When I hit the floor, the girls come snapping at me. Baby snapping, baby. Everybody wants a blast of magic, 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 magic. Ooh, I got the magic in me. Hey, I got that. Hey, I got the magic in me. I got the magic in me.
Are you ready to be pushed over the edge? Edge Radio, coming soon to 1540 AM and 101.7 FM Houston, Pasadena.
And we are back. You are listening to How You Living here on Edge Radio Network, 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. Our beautiful host, Miss Robin B. and Dr. Kiva are in the house. I'm Oscar Hines. I'm just your resident bottle washer hanging out with you guys today.
We appreciate
having this amazing conversation with Dr. Cheryl Creuzot, who has written a book about strategic methods that we can gain our financial independence. And I love the title. I love what you've done with that. So, Doc, with regard to your action steps, you've told us step one, it's like, how do you make rabbit stew? Step one, catch a rabbit.
Right.
So you're saying we have to really identify where we are in real time, real money, how much is going out, how much is coming in. Now, let's assume that we've been good boys and girls and we did that part.
Okay.
Now the discipline comes in. How do you implement these steps? How do you start from negative, whatever you are, to getting on top of this game?
Okay. So once we have clarity in terms of where you are, and again, whether that's good, bad, or ugly, it doesn't matter. All right, it is what it is. The next step is for us to set some goals. Okay. Dr. Kiva talked about retirement early. And so I would ask her, what does retirement look like for you? What do you see yourself doing at that point? So if Dr. Kiva, who is learned a yoga master, if she's going to hang out and do yoga and be chill and be on the beach, versus Robin, who might want to travel around the world, what they're going to need to accumulate are different amounts of money. Okay, so we go through those lifestyle questions, and we will quantify what it is that they need using some conservative growth assumptions, factoring into inflation, which a lot of people don't do. Okay, and then come up with what needs to be saved on a monthly basis for those growth objectives, which are typically financial independence or retirement or college funding for children, which is a huge
I remember that's how you set it up.
accumulation goal.
Yeah.
Yes,
That was cool.
Yes.
And one thing I noticed also with, at least with me personally, that's how you did it. Is what you wanted, how do you want to look like in 10 years? This is how you got to go about it. But then when we switched up and we did some, we're like, we bought something. We had to come back to you.
Yes.
You say, okay, let's rework those numbers
That's
and
right.
keep you realistic.
That's right.
So that
That's
was pretty
right.
cool. Because I remember, I think you got on me when I bought my car.
Your fancy car.
So I apologize for that.
But you know what? Everything in life is about choices.
Right.
And sometimes we'll put together the financial plan and someone says, well, no, I just really want to buy this house. I really want to buy the house. So I'll come back and say, well, fine. What do you want to change? All right. Our choices are we can reduce the amount of money that you're going to live in on retirement. You can work 3.5 years longer. All right. So it's all about
Very
choices.
realistic.
It's all
Right.
about choices.
You know, now I have a lot of friends who speak on stock market.
Uh-huh.
So that's maybe I should get into stocks. What are your thoughts on someone who's not a trader getting on those apps like, what is it, Robinhood?
Robinhood and Motley
Go
Fool.
and do your own stocks.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't recommend it for someone who has a modest amount of money, and I'll define modest. And modest would be $750,000 to $1 million. So most people starting out
That's modest.
should not be buying individual
Ruh-roh.
stocks. And the reason is you cannot properly diversify.
Right.
All right, without a large amount of money across a number of sectors, geographic locations, etc. So I would encourage the beginning investor to use low cost mutual funds or ETFs, which trade like stocks.
Okay.
All right. And put together a portfolio that makes sense for your age.
Okay.
All right. I do have some clients that love to do the research and want to buy individual stocks, take advantage, for example, now of those companies that might benefit from this whole COVID
Right.
situation.
Yes.
But they will set aside a small amount of what I call their play money. Okay. My job is to help people reach their goals and reach them on time. And we're not playing with that money. So,
In your opinion, Doc, I like talking to realtors because, every so often I'll say to them, do you understand what the word mortgage actually is derived from? And it's the word mort, meaning death.
That makes sense.
And gidge meaning lifelong.
Really?
So lifelong till death.
Oh, my Lord.
So people spend 30 years paying for a house and then they're old and they die. Is a house a good investment?
I would look at a house as an investment. No, because if you look across the country at the average growth of a home, that brick and mortar is going to grow at around 3%, 2 to 3%. So I wouldn't look at it as an investment. It is a big contributor to our net worth, though. And that is the wealth gap between people of color and the majority population. And the biggest difference is not owning a home. So I believe a home is a smart asset to buy as opposed to renting for 30 years. All right. And with that money going down the drain, because at least you're building up equity. So once that home is paid off, that is a nice asset on your balance sheet.
One of the things that our Caucasian counterparts have really done better, and I want to go back to institutional racism. So I just let's put a pin in that for a second. But they have had a consistent strategy towards building wealth, but also an inherited sort of passing down of assets and resources, some of whom used insurance vehicles to do that. Can you talk about how we should be thinking about creating that legacy for our children?
I think that's very important to create that legacy for our children, because so many of their counterparts that they may go to college with have trust funds to help them.
That's right.
All right. Our children don't. And so to be able to give them a head start, I know for me personally, that's very important. We have 3 children. One of my oldest son will take over the Frenchie's business. He's worked in it since he's been out of school. My daughter is a musician, and my youngest son's an equestrian. So,
Really?
I have 3 very different children.
Awesome. Yes.
And that was intentional to allow them to be who they wanted to be, and to not say because you're a person of color, you've got to be in this box.
Right.
But because my oldest son will inherit the family business, my other 2 children will inherit an equal amount through insurance or other assets. So I think it's very, very important for them to get a head start. And they're going to inherit that money in trust. And those are trusts that will be there for their lifetime. So if they're ever in a car accident or go through a divorce or have any other creditor, that no one can get that money that their father and I worked so hard for.
So you're explaining trust, but can you just crystallize it for audiences that don't understand how a trust works? Because that's a vehicle that's regularly used, but not always by us.
Right. So a trust is a vehicle. It's a taxable entity. It has its own tax ID number, and it's just a box that holds property. And it provides creditor protection, all right, for the beneficiaries. So there's a trustee who has the legal ownership, and then they're the beneficiaries of the trust, who the trustee is a fiduciary and responsible for doling out money, if you will, to the trustees based on to the beneficiaries, based on the trust document. So it's a vehicle that is simply used to hold assets for the benefit of the beneficiaries, and it does provide some protection for those beneficiaries and some asset protection. Because the last thing you want to do is to pass away, give money outright to a child who's too young to handle money, and that money is gone in a very short period of time.
I've seen that happen.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, it's in your book, which I'm gonna have to read. Do you speak on how parents should be able to talk to their kids? Because, you know, especially in our
community,
in our group of people, we don't really talk to kids. Like my parents did talk to me about how to be financial responsible.
That's right.
So, you know, just how do a parent approach a child when they're trying to figure it out themselves on how to be financial responsible?
Yes. My parents didn't either. All right. But I think you should start early.
Yeah.
And I know with my granddaughter, who's 5 and who carries around her purse and her little wallet in her purse, she gets her allowance for doing little chores. And if she wants something, she has to save the money to get it.
That's good.
That's really good.
That's really good.
You know, I remembered hearing this, Doc, and you're probably familiar with the marshmallow test. This idea that they took these kids, I believe it was back in the 1970s, and said, you know, you can have 1 marshmallow right now, or you can wait an hour and have 5 marshmallows. What do you want? And they showed that the tell was that if the kid said, I'll wait for an hour and I'll take the 5 marshmallows, that kid's going to be rich.
You're going somewhere, kid.
So it's about delayed gratification.
It is.
And that's got to be one of the hardest things to teach right now. You know?
It is, and I think in some way we have spoiled our children.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were so many things that we did without that we want to give and give and give to our children.
That is absolutely
true.
And
it has caused a problem. Because when I'm working with the young millennials, they want things right now.
Right.
They want it now.
So Doc, with regard to institutional racism, we've heard this before. We've heard the statements. We've also heard reparation. We've heard people ridicule the notion of reparation. This is more, again, I already know we've got a lot of history and understanding of finances. Can you break down for us a little bit of how the institutional racism affected us from a financial paradigm?
Well, it put us generations behind.
Way behind.
Way behind. You know, there were a lot of families that owned land, and that land was taken away from us. But it's put us way behind from an educational standpoint, which is key to moving forward financially. So you are the historian.
Right.
I think a discussion about reparations should be had. But I think more importantly, we have the economic power ourselves.
We do.
To advance ourselves and move ourselves forward. We do.
Mm-hmm. I think everyone pretty much is familiar with Black Wall Street in Tulsa. I mean, that we were doing it. We had our own. We had the most banks. And at that time, the Caucasians were coming to borrow money from the black banks back then. So what did they do? They burnt it to the ground and killed everyone because that was one of the biggest threats this country has, as you know, is us getting ahead. So I know there's a huge push to recreate Black Wall Street. And this is a very interesting time right now with black business owners.
That's right.
And
to support our black businesses.
Oh, absolutely. That's huge. I've noticed in the past month, well, sadly, ever since George Floyd was killed, there's a huge support for black businesses. I've automatically started getting a lot more love online from other black business owners. And that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. And Bob Johnson, is it Bob Johnson? He actually came on and did an interview how he calculated how reparations could be a reality. And he said something like $14 trillion. That's
I'm sure it'd be huge.
It'd be interesting to, because he's a well-respected guy in the business. It would be interesting to see.
Well, I heard something that was somewhat infuriating when it was put in this perspective. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about the United States government. In 1970, the United States government made a purposeful effort to start defunding trade inside of schools. Because there was a time in the 70s, and this was right when I was a kid, you could go to school, and by the time you graduated high school, you could have a license as a plumber, as an electrician, as you could have a journeyman's license.
My dad went to trade school. Yeah.
But when they defunded that, and specifically in inner cities, it eliminated trade for African American men in particular. And so that was the first phase. Then by 1980, there was legislation that started to be enacted, and they brought in some different drugs, right? We all remember crack.
Yeah.
Well, so now the black man is choiced with either I'm going to sell this crack to support my kids, or I'm going to do this crack to forget my troubles.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you got that problem.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 1990, another decade, the Clinton administration comes in with 3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah.
Now poor young men that maybe just want to get some weed to ease their pain, right? Just like everybody else is doing right now, I might remind you, literally cause black men to have life sentences starting in the 1990s.
Right. That's legalized slavery.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. By 2000, George W. Bush institutes this program, this faith-based initiative, and the faith-based initiative essentially incentivizes churches to shut the hell up and let these inequities take place.
Wow.
And so all the modern churches, all the churches that were funded are no longer talking about these inequities, are no longer talking about the disparities between black men in the financial space. And now we fast forward to where we are now. We've got massive incarceration. We've got the highest levels of unemployment. We've got all this health disparity that COVID has brought out. And all of this is a culmination of a systematic process that was taking place to essentially start to ineffectively disrupt the potential for Black Wall Street.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So it was systematic.
You brought up a number of issues,
great.
and you're just a wealth of knowledge here. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love
Wait till you start talking about salsa dancing.
No.
It's a whole nother thing.
But Doc, I'm interested in your perspective. Your perspective
you touched on so many things. Social justice reform, education.
Yeah.
And you talk about this discussion of reparations. My fear is that hopefully education about financial wellness and about financial independence comes before any reparations. Because the worst thing is, and I've seen it with clients who have gotten large sums of money because of a personal injury situation and have no clue first step how to deal with that. And so we will just set aside time and focus on knowledge.
Yes.
Focus
That's
on
good.
knowledge. Knowledge
Speaking
is
of
power. Yes.
We need to probably encourage people to call in so they could start talking about knowledge, is get a copy of your book.
Didn't say that we have some book giveaways.
Yes.
Oh,
three.
yes.
The first
Okay.
3 callers who call in have any questions for Cheryl, you will get a free copy of her Real Lives, Real Money book.
Nice. 281-587-1540. That's 281-587-1540 if you have a question for Dr. Crusoe, and also if you'd like a copy of this amazing book. So I'm excited about that. So
Looking at it like,
It's an awesome book.
Hey, I got a call. I've been asking all these questions. Yes,
Maybe she'll sign one for you.
Well, so Doc, yes. So Doc, you were about to kind of unpack a few of some of the social ills as it related to the emasculation of our community when it came to our financial piece. And one of the conversations in the context of what we're just talking about is that women should never be to blame. Black women should never be to blame for this. But there is a clear differentiation between the level of education, the level of finances that a black woman has as compared to a black man. And we're the only race that has that disparity. Can you speak to that?
Huge disparities, because we're caregivers. As women, we tend to be caregivers. And so we tend to be out of the workforce, caring for children. We might have to come out of the workforce to care for parents. And so typically we have less retirement, less of a pension, less Social Security. So, the vast majority of women, very large percentage, live at or below the poverty level in their older age.
But you noticed an uptick in business ownership with black women, like in the last 2 years?
Yes. Not only an uptick in education,
Right.
but also in business ownership, which is wonderful.
It seems like the opportunities are more available to black women than they are to black men as well. Have you seen that?
I've seen that to some extent, not so much in corporate America.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
The other thing, as far as small businesses, though, is open to both
It's,
black men and
yeah, it definitely is. I think it's just what I see because
Yes.
I'm in that area.
But the growth of women-owned businesses is at a much higher rate than their male counterparts. Sure,
that's what I was.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Okay, yeah, that is it. We can get some of those brothers out of prison and help them, create their own wealth by building their own businesses.
It's great.
That's the hope.
It's great. When you have your own business, though, there's an added layer of discipline there because you don't have,
we don't get to pay ourselves a salary.
Well, the paternalistic, corporation forcing you to put money in your 401k.
That's a good point.
Providing you with disability insurance, providing you with life insurance, providing you with health insurance. So you have to think through those things because you're now employer and employee.
Is that the majority of your clientele, or do you have a pretty even balance?
Even mix of people that own their own business, but a good many of them are in corporate America. Yeah.
So for a lot of people that want to be an entrepreneur, but they want to at least have a foundation or some kind of structure that they can lean back on, what should that structure look like for a self-employed individual?
For a self-employed individual, not only do they need to have this personal emergency fund, but they also need to be properly capitalized for their business. That is the number one reason that businesses go out of business very soon after they're open. They're not properly capitalized. There's a story in my book about a young woman who just loved her grandmother, and her grandmother's just a phenomenal woman. And she saw the lack of services that were provided for her grandmother and her elderly friends. And so she wanted to start a home health care agency and did not do the research about home health care agencies, the licenses required, the money that it was going to take, the capital that was needed. And so she ended up sleeping in her car. And went back and had 2 children at the time. Very sad story.
Yeah.
But she got it together. She went and worked for a couple of home health agencies.
That's the key.
Let them know up front what she was trying to do. And they allowed her to work there, gain the knowledge firsthand. So she didn't have to fall and skin her knees, again. All right.
That's awesome.
And built a business and now has more than 500 employees. So
Good. Is she here in Houston?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I love about your book. It's telling real stories about your actual client.
Yeah,
and so that makes it really interesting.
That's such a common thing for people to start a business.
Yeah.
But
And crash.
how do you know the business?
It's like 80%,
the
right?
business itself. Like,
Right.
I can open this, I can do that, and
Mhm.
don't
Right.
do the first step in.
Right.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Homework is
You know,
key.
what I like that Les Brown says is you will fail your way to success.
That's nice.
So there's obviously entrepreneurs that you've encountered and you've seen the failures. In just the few last moments that we have left, can you speak to the process of entrepreneurship? Because you're in a family that has a very successful franchise. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you. And I'll speak about my father-in-law, Frenchie, who passed away about 10 years ago. He was a serial entrepreneur.
Oh.
And so the Frenchie's business might have been, I don't know what number business, but it's all about mentorship. And so when I wanted to get into this business, I did not get my degrees and strike out on my own. There was a Jewish man who was kind enough and understood that the Black community needed financial planning desperately.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And he understood my desire to get out and provide that education. And so he mentored me. And so I learned from him. And that is the way, I think, the proper way to get the knowledge and the education before you branch out on your own.
That's smart.
Wow, that is outstanding. That mentorship is incredibly
everything.
invaluable.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You probably have a mentor still. I don't know. I hear people of every level, leaders everywhere still have a mentor.
I do have a mentor.
Yeah.
I have several mentors.
Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
heard.
It's hard
Yeah.
sometimes to find a mentor. Is there any way that you can give, say, someone
Well,
who's
you
just
know-
coming out of college, and they're like, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
How can they find a mentor?
I had a young lady call me and she said that I want to get into your business and I would like for you to consider mentoring me.
Wow.
And we agreed that we would do that and that we would meet once a month.
Nice.
And I still have mentors. I have people that I selected 30 years ago when I got into business that I admired them, that are in related fields. And I admired not just what they accomplished in business, but I admired the way they lived their lives, the way they treated their spouses, the way they treated their children. And so I just lost one of my mentors. And I always think about, what would, his name was Milton, what would Milton do? That stays in my
That's
head. And
good.
so I can hear him.
Wow.
What would Milton do?
WWM. So as we wrap up, we've been talking to Dr. Cheryl Crusoe, the author of this amazing book here, and it looks like a very easy read. Doc.
It is a very
so
easy read.
interesting.
Real lives, real money.
That's right.
And the bottom, the road back to prosperity.
Yes.
And I love the illustration, which is the road, but it's a dollar sign. Very cool. Very smart.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'd been encouraged 20 or more years ago to write a book. And I didn't want to write a very staid,
boring.
boring financial book because most people, shy away from reading those.
Right.
So with all of the voyeurism and reality TV
Right.
and that sort of thing, I thought if I could write about real people,
Looking into
and
the
real
lives.
stories,
Yeah.
that people would read them.
It's
so
very
yes,
interesting.
yeah.
That's brilliant. Jesus taught in parables. So about walking across that
It was
pool
a
of
book of
water that we
parables.
talked about.
That's good. You're right.
You balanced that beautifully.
It is.
So can you tell folks how to get in touch with you, how they can reach you?
Sure. The name of our firm is Wealth Development Strategies, and our phone number is 713-561-8113. You can go to our website, and our website is wealthdevelopmentstrategies.com. To order the book, it's reallivesrealmoney.com.
RealLivesRealMoney.com.
There you
the
go.
Manual towards getting back to prosperity.
That's right.
Did you say that there was a special right now?
We
on the
do have a
books?
special right now on the books, so you can get 2 books for $20.
And they're great gifts. I think it's
They
a
make
wonderful
gifts,
idea.
They
That's
do.
a great
Yeah.
Gosh, every kid should have this instead of that fallacious history that they try to ram down our throats.
Yeah.
Columbus sailed the ocean.
garbage.
What?
Yeah.
This would be a great
Wow.
gift to give a student
It's
who's
a-
going into college.
You're
Yes.
absolutely
already have
right.
that mental knowledge.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, we can do that on our future shows. We'll keep these and we will give them to kids who
That'd
are
be
on their way to
great.
college.
That'd be great.
Thank you very
That'd be
much.
great. Oh,
We
you're welcome.
appreciate
I've
you.
enjoyed it.
It was awesome.
Wow.
Thank
so,
you.
folks, this is what it's all about. Thank you so much, Doc. This has been a genuine pleasure
Thank
speaking
you.
with
It's
you.
been fun.
Yeah.
And you somehow have this beautiful, calm demeanor that makes money seem less intimidating.
Right.
If you were like your mentor, the old Jewish guy, I'd probably be a little more scared of you.
Oh, yeah, she's